Sorry about that, guys. Just waiting here for everyone to come on. I suppose if I wanted to, I just could do this guy here. Whoops. Suppose if I wanted to, I just could. Oh, man. It has been ages. Hi, everyone. MJ here. It has been absolutely ages since I have been on the air from the studio. So I want to welcome everyone. All right. Patty, how you doing? Nice to see you. I'm in black and white tonight because I just think I think it looks better. How are you? Yeah. Wow, it's great to see you. My goodness. And great to see you on YouTube. Drinking like lemon water. It's actually not lemon. We have kind of a green orange. Yeah, thank you. Same here. We have kind of a green orange here in Taiwan. It's like a little bit smaller than a standard orange, I guess, but it's got a green skin. And I really like it. And I like to use it sometimes for lemon. See, in Asia, we call lemons what the West calls limes. So we actually, if we want yellow lemons, we actually have to say yellow lemons. Otherwise, if you say it's limon in Chinese and pretty much every other language around here, it's almost the same. But yeah. So I'm just enjoying that here. And I'm also having, I've been kind of on a sort of a fast again, trying to drop some weight and making sure I don't develop any kidney problems or liver problems. I've been eating, broccoli, bok choy, just small amounts of it, and drinking apple cider vinegar. Now, my voice is a little bit shot. Sorry about that. There's nothing I can really do. Well, hear this? Oh, Ken Rod, fist bump. Good to see you, man. Yeah, so I decided to go black and white tonight because for some reason my camera just seems kind of red, and I sort of like the black. And the thing is too, as we know about my my LED glasses, if I turn them to green, because I got the green screen, right? And I take my regular glasses off, put these guys on. Kind of hard to do. Then it disappears. So, oh, the nose guard fell. Hey, Dean, how's it going? Fist bump. All right. So this is kind of interesting how this disappears. I kind of like this, but yeah. All right. I'm taking these off. I'm not going to wear these. I'm not going to wear these tonight. I just wanted to basically just show you that. It's kind of a pain in the neck though with the headphones on, because on the temple pieces and stuff. So these are my studio glasses, and believe it or not, they're identical to my street glasses. See? Hold on up here, you can see it, I guess. Same color and everything. The only difference is the temple pieces on these are slightly lighter. They're like a titanium, and these are totally black. So what happens is, a lot of times, I forget I have them on, and I go downstairs and like I'm going to go drive somewhere, and you can forget about that. Because the studio glasses only have near and medium focus, okay? Because I'm always looking down at my console, and I'm looking at the curved monitor to do editing and stuff. But these have, of course, the distance on them, so So how's everybody doing tonight? I wanted to show you a couple things. I've been doing some drone flying, and for those of you, excuse me, who may not have seen the flights that I took when I was in East Taiwan, I prepared a little bit of a slideshow here, and they're really quite something. And I'd like to show those to you right now. This shot I took off at 900 meters, and this is Taiwan's Rift Valley. And you know what? I'm going to slow these down. Hold on. I'm going to slow these way, way down. I'm going to say, hang on. Okay. These are all in the area near Yuli. And, excuse me. I took off at 900 meters and flew straight out. In this area, I'm allowed to be 120 meters, which is 400 feet above the local terrain. And that where the drone is now, the valley floor hasn't fallen away enough for me to have to go ahead and yeah, it really, really is. Taiwan is really something. You have to descend into the valley is what I'm trying to say. You can only maintain a 400 feet, 120 meter altitude. So I wasn't that far up. Now I went over to Andreas's farm, the green farm. You can look this up in Google Maps. And I just sent the drone up, and there just happened to be this kind of a ring of a cloud. It looks like a UFO. It looks like CGI. I swear. I took this with the drone. I took it, it's a DNG raw file, so I was able to process it. I use Affinity Photo. But I got to tell you, it was really something seeing this sunbeam, these beams of light through there. And I took several pictures of them, actually. Not just, yeah, see, there's another one. I reframed it a little bit. That's a river. You can see there's a delta, and this is Taiwan's Rift Valley. And when my brother John was here, we actually took him to the Rift Valley. We drove all the way around Taiwan, and we went through the Rift Valley from the southern part up into the central part, and then we cut back over to the coast. Yeah, it is really cool. It does, doesn't it? I know what you mean. It does. Yeah. It looks like something. I couldn't believe it because you couldn't see this from the ground. Because see, if you look in the bottom of the picture, there's a hill, and I was behind the hill. So I flew the drone up, and then once I got it up in the air, I'm like, oh man, you got to be kidding me. Really? And so it made it even more special just having, I mean, I was just flying around and looking at the farm, and then I decided to spin around and see, I'd originally wanted to fly over Andreas's farm, get some shots of the farm and do like the circular shots. You've seen those from the air where they circle around a central point. And I got some of those shots, and I was looking around. I was like, oh my goodness, I better shoot that. So I shot them with bracketed raw files, and it's really something. I can do this for a second. I can turn the chat off just for a second. But man, oh man, yeah, spectacular is a good word. Yeah, Patty, you don't have to. Listen, you don't have to correct your spelling. I'm fluent in typo. Those are ponds down there. And a lot of those ponds will have little machines in it for aeration. And they're fish ponds. I flew out over the valley. And I'm near the, of course, you can see the delta. Now the water level's low. You see the kind of, turquoise, green, blue water in the middle, but you see the flood banks. And so it's pretty rich. And where it goes off into the distance, you can see it kind of makes a little Y there. It's pretty interesting. But there are times, hey, J-Boy, how's it going? All right, good to see you, bro. Fist bump to you. That bridge that you see right there, diagonally from the center of the photo, going down to the left, that bridge got destroyed recently in the earthquake. You guys all know about the earthquake we had last month. That bridge is how Andreas gets into town, believe it or not. Anyway, there's another bridge that's further south, which is left in this photograph, because we are facing basically west-southwest. But anyway, this is a pano that I put together from some of the previous photos. And this Rift Valley is just, it's really phenomenal. And if you haven't been through it, if you've been to Taiwan and you have not driven through the Rift Valley, it's just, I don't know how to describe it, except it's like, I don't know. I call, excuse me. Hey, Matthew, how you doing? Hey, fist bump to you. Good to see you, bro. I always refer to Taiwan as God's thumbprint, okay? If that's allowable, if you will. I'm just turning the chat off temporarily just to show these photos. And so that part of Yuli, this is the first picture, and I stopped it for a second. So this is all part of Yuli, and this basically is a view that you have from Andreas's farm down the street. There's a homestay, and you climb up a small set of stone steps, and you're at the top, and there's a platform, and I just flew straight out from the platform, and this is exactly what I saw, and it is off the charts, just incredible. Very rich area, and the mountains are they're only inhabited sparsely. As you can see, there's like a little house down the bottom. There's roads, but I mean, there's, if you want to get a place, there's definitely a place for you. Okay, so all right, we're back. We're done with that. So I've been having fun, with my drone and learning how to fly it. And I've had a couple of videos I put on YouTube. I shot the Shao Wulai waterfall. I played that on a live stream on my mobile phone using Prism Live Studio on my phone. Now I'm on the PC. I'm not going to play that again because I've done that already. And I did a shot of the tofu rocks too. And I also did put on YouTube. I also put a video about the fire. So this is the fire, okay? And like the day I came back, I bought my drone down in Kaohsiung, and you're very welcome, Patty. It was my pleasure to share these things. I love taking photos, and well, it's another story, but I was working to get my my Nikon D7000 back in order. This is a shot from the Kaohsiung Harbor, and I can leave these on for a minute or two if you'd like. They have a little blow-up doll there. It's a cat, but basically I'm just using this as my background. See, so. But anyway, I did a couple videos on YouTube, and I'm sort of kind of happy with them, but I'm really trying to go for more of a cinematic look on these drone videos. And it's hard because what you have to do is you have to be careful about the shutter speed, and also you have to be careful about the frames per second. And the interesting thing is, it's hard to explain. You know, if you got 24 frames a second, that means you're going to have 24 pictures in a second. But the shutter speed depends on how fast the picture is taken. So if it takes it at a thousandth of a second, so the frame might be this long, but you only took a picture that you know, there's going to be no blur. So the rule of thumb generally is, if you want motion blur, you know, films are usually shot at 24 frames a second. And most of the videos that we do are 30. You look on your phone, it's 30. And even on the drone, it's 30. 30 and also 60. 60 is really super high frames per second frame rate. And it looks too smooth. It looks like video. And so if you're trying to shoot cinematic, it's hard to do. Hard to get right. So I bought what's called some neutral density filters, or ND filters. A lot of people see ND filters and they don't know what it means. It's neutral density filters, which means that they don't change the color, the white balance or anything. They're just dark. And you've seen like sunglasses that can do that. Some sunglasses you put on, it changes the colors. Others don't. It just makes it darker. And that's what ND filters do. And so they have different sizes, and the higher the number, the darker it is. So I got a set from DJI, and it's like 16, 64, and 128. It's like crazy, you know, because there's a big gap. But I put the 64 on. And what I did with the 64 was I matched it up for... well, the rule of thumb is you want to basically have twice the shutter speed of the frame rate. So if it's 24, it'd be 48. Well, the closest frame rate I could do was 60. So that's pretty close. And then the other problem is the camera does 4K resolution. I shot it in 4K, and I just exported it in medium quality 1080p. And then I had to add some noise to it. I had to add, of course, I color graded it with some lookup tables. And then I had to add some noise to it. And the noise that I added to it was like a color video noise. It's a random noise. And I added, believe it or not, just a filter to kind of make it reminiscent of like some 70s movies. So let me show you this if you don't mind. Now, the drone doesn't record audio, because all you're going to hear is, and you're going to hear, it'd be kind of dumb. Although I do have that little clip-on mic, and I am going to put it on there with a rubber band and just set it up and see what I can get for sounds. But anyway, let me show you what this, let me show you what this video looks like. I can still see your comments, but I'm going to turn the comments off of the video. But there is sound, and what the sound is sound effects files. I have a pretty massive sound effects library of, you know, different sounds, and so that is what I was using. And it was interesting because I had to match up. I have some like car drive-bys and motorcycle drive-bys, and I try to match them up with real events. So anyway, I'm gonna turn my mic off and tell me what you think of this. And yeah, okay, this is my cinematic view of my neighborhood. And you're gonna see the top of my house here in Taiwan too, with me flying the drone, because I'm wearing my hat. It's gonna come right at me in a couple times, so you'll see that. Oh, and before I tell you at the end, before I do this, there's a big building across the street from me, and I decided to do a test of the obstacle avoidance system. And the obstacle avoidance system, it looks forward and it looks backwards and it looks downward. And so I went directly, like I was trying to fly into the building, and it stopped, but it got close. It's pretty amazing. I had eyes on it. It was visual because it's across the street from me. It wasn't like I was, you know, down the block doing it somewhere over there and couldn't actually see. I had eyes on the drone, and I'm looking at the display. and looking at the drone. And so I just wanted to see what it would look like. Because the thing is with the camera, the drone is tiny. The thing is this big, right? But the camera, the depth of field, or excuse me, what am I trying to say? Field of view. The field of view of the camera is such that, I mean, the building can be 20 meters over there, but it looks like, you know, in the camera, it looks like you're going to, whoa. And so it can be pretty scary. So nothing in this film that I shot is very close, but it looks close, but that makes it look cool. So I just did a little test of the obstacle avoidance system at the end. And so that's what you're going to see. Or you're going to think I'm crazy just flying up to that building, but that's why I did it. Okay, mic off. Here we go. I'm going for that cinematic motion blur, like when the buildings go by. So that was the exercise that I was doing today. I'm going to start flying a little bit faster in just a second. There's me dead ahead standing on the roof of my house. I live in an industrial park and a bunch of huge factories, and there's several chip making companies in this area. I'm going to take a left down the block. Remember, all those car sounds, everything, they're all fake. I lined them up. This is like movie making, you know. I'm going to do a big circle around the block. And I did cut some stuff out. Hey Mike, nice to have you with us. Just taking a drone flight around the block here. And this is my attempt at making like a 70s type movie. Of course, this would be really expensive in the 70s. But that kind of look, I'm trying to go for cinematic motion blur. The problem is, I shot the video at 24 frames. I rendered it at 24 frames, but you know, I am transmitting, I'm broadcasting at 30 frames. I gotta keep that in mind. Now that's the famous Jar Jar store right there on the right. That kind of reddish tile building. When I get to this intersection, I'm going to fly back over a tree real close over my house, and I'm going to do that test. You guys wonder what Taiwan looks like. This is it. And by the way, those tanks, those are water tanks because Taiwan does not have a pressurized water system. Many places around the world do not have pressurized water systems. So they have a pump down at the bottom. My house is 13 meters tall, so that I got like a 50-meter head pump, and those I'm standing right. You see me standing right next to those two tanks, and they're absolutely huge, and they're both full of water, and the pump pumps those, and they provide the water pressure through gravity throughout the house. That's how it works. Now, you might think I'm nuts, but I'm going to fly right over here, right at this building to see what happens. And I want you to watch. The drone is smart enough to know. And one of the reasons I wanted to do this, it goes right up to it, but it's not very close. It looks close on the camera. One of the reasons I wanted to do this building was because that side is painted, and usually there has to be a lot of contrast, but the thing is smart enough that it can see that and detect that. So I just stopped, and I decided that at that point the best thing to do, because I wanted to turn around and land it, was to just move out sideways and turn around and come back. Again, I had eyes on the drone the whole time, so no big deal. So there we go. That was my that was my cinematic. That was my attempt at being cinematic. I'm what I'm trying to say with the cinematic blur, and it looks a lot better on on a device that's playing it back at 24 frames a second. So if I upload it to YouTube, it will be 24 frames a second, because YouTube will just play it back, you know, like it's played on the PC. But right now, since I'm streaming at 30 frames a second, so I think that's interfering with some of the motion blur that I was going for. Oh well. Now we have a community on YouTube, which is something I never had before. You know, all the big channels have community and they do regular posts and things. I had a blog since 2005. I haven't updated it for the last 2 or 3 years. I'm tired of it. Actually, more than that. I'm tired of it. Haven't done anything. I left the blog there, you know, for kind of historical purposes, because a lot of the places that we went, they're either not there or they're completely different, right? But I did take a lot of video in those days. I had a couple of options for video. I had a little video camera. It was nuts. It was like the size of your hand, and a little screen would fold out, and it recorded on SD cards. And I had this thing in sure. Thanks, Ken. It was fun doing it. This camera was by a company called iDear, I-D-E-A-R. I don't name them. And the camera was recorded on an SD card. And in those days, SD cards weren't so fast like they are now, right? And so I remember I had to send it back to the factory, and they didn't really have an SD card recommendation. It's 2005, okay? So anyway, full-size SD card, whole thing. And I used to do a lot of recordings with it, but there's no stabilization, and it's super, super light. So whenever you're walking, it's like, you know, because like if you've got a heavy camera, it takes a lot more inertia to move it. And a heavy camera sometimes is easier to steady than something super, super light, if you can understand what I'm saying. So here's the thing. Back in those days, you know, there was no YouTube, but I also had a Coolpix 5700, which is a 5 megapixel camera at the time. Nikon or Nikon, depending where you're from. And that camera was really great on still photos, but it also took videos, but the videos are like this big. They're tiny. But the idea was 640 by 480. And they said in the advertisement, it's nearly DVD quality. Now, regular standard DVD quality is 480p, which was roughly fairly close to what Periscope was at the time. But nowadays, I mean, you know, they're 6K and 8K, which I think is ridiculous. You don't need that kind of resolution. For me, I think anything above 1080 really just isn't really necessary. Although I do render and upload to in 4K some things, but I don't live stream in 4K because of the TVs. TV sets is where the most 4K penetration is in the market. If you want to buy a 4K monitor for your PC, those are really expensive and they look beautiful. But I got a regular 1080p. I got a 32-inch. It's Samsung. It's curved monitor. It's perfect for working in the studio and doing, you know, recording and mastering and editing. Anyway, to get back to what I'm trying to say is, in those days there was no place to upload video to, and a lot of the video I shot never having any way to show it to anybody, really, unless I made them a DVD or they came over to my house. Google did have Google Video, and then they bought YouTube and killed Google Video. In the early days, there was Ustream, and there also was Vimeo, but those came along later after YouTube. So in all that time I had the blog, I never went back and like put those movies together. You know, I never put them together and never did a compilation, you know, of everything. And I guess I should have, but I didn't. And so what I did, this week was I went through my archive of the idea photos and put together a bunch of clips and put together a little movie of some stuff that we did because, I mean, it's really funny. You see these guys like Sabbatical and other YouTubers, and they're making a living off of traveling to places and doing things. And I used to do that. I never made a living off it. There wasn't any way to make a living off of it back then. It's kind of interesting. So I want to show you some videos from 2005. I was in Konkan province and I wanted a Texas-style offset smoker built by a machine shop. And so they built it for me. And it cost me 2,000 Thai baht, which was $50 back in those days. I worked with them the first day on the measurements, and then I came back another day to do some inspection on it, and it was proceeding well. And then they painted it. I didn't tell them to paint it, but they painted it, and then we took it to Mr. Bancho, who's my Thai friend, took it to his I took it to his resort, and that really that's where it stayed until it basically it's rusted into oblivion now. So, well, you really got, I mean, yeah, the idea is it's 15 years is like a dinosaur. Okay. Cause I mean, I'm talking about, it's, you know, almost 2023. I'm getting ready to show you something I shot in 2005. And so you're going to see, yeah, and plasma TVs have their own issues, which we talked about before. But I mean, Mike, I got a 55-inch, you know, TCL made in China. They're all made in China. It runs Android TV. It was 13,000 NT, which is like I don't know, it was 380 or 300. It's like $400. I mean, come on, man. And it's 4K. I mean, that's it. I mean, you don't have to buy a Samsung or a Sony. But LG is known for making some really, really nice large format TVs, you know, and I like everything LG does. I got an LG air conditioner in my studio. Anyway, so let me show you this. Let me give a little background though. I went to the shop and I commissioned this smoker, and I've got some still shots of them making this, and I'll narrate over it. But then I started using the video camera, and I went to the market, and it's like shaky, okay, but I did stabilize it. I had gone to the market the day before and asked for about a 4-kilogram piece of, you know, pork that I could smoke in the smoker. And the guy said, ribs? I said, yeah. And he said, okay, about 4 kg, okay. And I asked him how much, and he told me. And so one of the things you have to do when you're traveling, which I would explain if I had a YouTube channel and was traveling all the time, is that sometimes you don't bring money with you. So they see, well, you know, I don't have any more. So this is it. I'll show you my wallet, show you my bag, you know, this. And you told me yesterday, Ski, what happened was he brought me a piece that was over 6 kilograms, and he's trying to make more money. But I told him I wanted 4 kilograms, and we agreed on the price. So he gave it to me anyway, of course. But that's a little tip. So let me go ahead and play this, and I might stop a little bit of it. I'm going to show you, like, first of all, they're cutting out the sheet metal. It was flat in sheet metal, and then they put it through a roller machine to roll it into barrels, and then they welded it. Yeah, there you go. We saw it here in Taiwan. It's pretty cool. All right, here we go. So they're loading this up onto the shear, okay? And those hydraulic pins come down, and they hold the metal in place while the back plane comes down and cuts it off. And boy, you don't want to have anything in there except metal. Keep your hands away from that. This is the machine that they use for rolling. And doesn't matter, it's all rusty and stuff. But basically, by adjusting the screw handle, you make them closer together. You make, you know, the rollers closer together, and you run it through, and then you make an adjustment, and you run it through, and you make it tighter, and you run it through, make it tighter, because you can't make the full radius in one pass because it'll bend the metal. It's too much. It might put a crease in it. So what you do is you just run it through several times, and you see that they're making it into a barrel. And you see, okay. Now, as I recall, they measured the sheet metal that they needed to make the barrel, but they oriented it in the wrong direction. And then they had to unbend it, which was amazing, watching them take the piece of curved metal that didn't fit together. And then that was on the firebox, and then they rolled it the correct way. Now, I believe what they're doing here is I think they're making the top of it, because there has to be a lid on it. All right. You see, it's getting tighter. You see what I mean? As they're rolling it, it gets tighter. And that's it. That's the finished piece. And I'm pretty sure that's the top, the lid. Excuse me. All right. So now they're making another section. And this one, I think, is, yeah, see how that one's not as long? That's going to be for the firebox. But I did want a large firebox on this smoker, larger than normal. So now they're inspecting it, and it looks pretty good. That's going to be the main piece. And then, of course, they had to build a frame for it and the whole thing. And so, yeah. That's what was just saw was a firebox. Okay, now these are the barrels, and they have welded them together. They cut end pieces and welded them on, and you see that they welded a hinge. Okay, that's the smoking chamber. The long barrel's a smoking chamber, but you see how big that little barrel is? Most fireboxes are a lot smaller than that, and I wanted a large firebox. And the reason is because it's harder to find cut wood in Thailand, and the pieces are liable to be a lot larger. Okay, so that's me in the old days. I had long hair and a beard. I got one of my famous bags. If you look on my leg above my sock, I got some kind of I did something. Probably hit something on my bike or something. That's Mr. Banchob on the left. And he's a longtime friend of mine. He's actually an attorney, and he has citizenship in 3 countries. That's Dr. Sue's husband. That's the lady we stayed with when I went to Thailand right before the pandemic broke out in 2020. And that's one of the guys working on the smoker. That's not the big boss. But I'm measuring it up, and what I'm trying to locate for him is the place that I want for the cutout between them, and to put the offset. You can sort of see that I have drawn some semicircles and some stuff on there with chalk, just to give them an idea. And just want you guys to see the chat for a second. All right. And so now we're fitting it on about where it wants to be. And for anybody who, excuse me, I'm sorry, for anybody who's ever built or seen or used an offset Texas wood smoker, that is the biggest firebox that I've ever seen. I mean, it's half the size at least of the smoker, and it's usually like a third or even less. It's different if you've got an upright version, but this is going to be a barrel version. They're going to make a frame for it to stand it on. Okay, so that's Mr. Banchob, and he's helped me translate because my Thai stinks. And they're talking about the inside. You can sort of see a hole between the two, and there has to be a hole between the firebox. There it is right there, and that shows the firebox. They've tack welded it on in place just to make sure it's okay. And there's some patchwork down the bottom. None of that matters. It just, they're gonna cut a little piece, and put it in there to block that. Nothing matters because they're just gonna weld it. They're gonna put a seam all the way across that. But the clamps and the hammer tell the story. They're just clamping these pieces on. It's kind of hard to tell, but that little angle that you see down the lower left-hand corner is the edge of the firebox. It corresponds to the edge in the upper right-hand corner. And so they just tack weld it on, and they tap it together and get it going. And this kit was pretty good. They put they tack welded a brace on the side. And the brace isn't on the final piece, but they tack welded it on there to hold it, to make it dimensionally stable while they do the other welding. Because if you don't, then the heat from the welding can distress the metal, and there you go. See the hinges on the top. Now, he used a torch. I don't know why, but it needs a smokestack. And so he cut it with a torch, cut the hole with a torch, and he's knocking the pieces out. And so you see them inside. They're welding a piece on the. I'm not sure what he's welding there. I think he's just working on the joint on the main smoking chamber. And there's the kid working on it. You can see down on the very bottom of the picture is a trapezoidal hole, and that is going to be the air inlet. And I drew and designed a door for that with a handle, and they put that on for me later. And so now look, this guy is stick welding, and he's using sunglasses. Okay, now this is in Thailand, and I have nothing to do with safety or anything there, nothing like that. But that's just how it is. That's just how they are. So smoked fish is great. And I smoked a bunch of fish in this. I would like to, the next time, show you some more pictures of me using this smoker. And, but now tonight I want to show you some video because, it's just something I've never showed anybody before at all. This guy stick welding, and the other guy, I guess he's got his eyes shut, but I mean, this is dangerous. They shouldn't be doing this, but nothing I can do about it. All right, now they painted it. I didn't ask them to paint it, but they painted it silver. And the first time I used it, I had to burn it. I had to put a load of wood in there and just get it as hot as I could. And I put some coals in the firebox too, just to burn the chemicals, off the paint. But they built a stand for it too, which is pretty cool. And so the kid rode in the back and yeah, so they unloaded it for me. I didn't have to touch it. Didn't do anything. It was great. So I paid 2,000 baht, which in those days, in 2005, was $50 US. All right, now here comes the video. All right, now this is shaky video, and this is really, really low resolution, but this is what it was like in 2005. Well, they are, but usually the firebox mic is smaller. Let me turn the chat on for a second because that way you can see what I'm talking about. Mike is saying about the 55-gallon drums are utilized. They are. They're utilized as the barbecues too. And I have some more still shots at the end, towards the end of the video, where you see my smoker and you see a half, a 55-gallon drum cut in half on a stand. Actually, I bought that and gave it to the resort. And so, yeah, but usually the fireboxes are very small. All right, here we go. I'm going to go ahead and continue this. And from now on, this is going to be video up until towards the end when I have some still shots. And there are some of these are composites. Some of these are not from the same, the same cooking session, because I was there for a month. I probably ran the smoker 7 or 8 times. Who knows? Maybe 5 or 6. I don't know. All right, here we go. This is the meat market. Those are pieces of meat just out in the open there. So they see me coming, and there it is.
How much?
เท่าไหร่เขาถามเท่าไหร่
6. No, I said 400. Yesterday I said 400.
เดี๋ยว
พี่เขาสั่งพี่
That's it right there. Huge.
Put it on there.
6 กิโล
สั่งมึงด้วย
How
รู้
many
จังหวะ
kilos?
กะสิสั่งเบิ่งให้ดีละนี่
กิโล
6 kilos. Okay.
Now let me stop this. Down the very bottom, you can almost make out the number 4. And it's like a clock. So going clockwise, the next one is 5 and 6. And the yellow arrow is pointing between 6 and 7. This is 6.5 kilograms. Okay. Let me turn the chat on just for a second, because Mike made a comment. 6.5 kilograms. It's like 13.5, almost 14 pounds. That's a lot of meat. Okay. Mike is saying that he made a mistake about doing a proper burnout. Exactly. And our friend Brunty, who lives in, well, he used to, I don't know where he is now, but back then he lived in Isan too. And he spray painted you know, his barbecue, and he had to do a burnout too. So you'll see the needle on this thing. This is a big hunk.
And 1 kilo is how much?
กิโลหนึ่งจากบาทเขาถาม
Thank you.
แท่งกิโลละ
Okay. All right. So yesterday I said
ผมบอกต้องเป็นเนื้อต่อรถเป็น
See, it's 6.5. See, I'm surprised how much Thai I actually can understand something. I'm counting out money, so that's why the camera's angled like that.
40, 60, 80.
We didn't have the DJI Pocket, you know, with a gimbal and none of that stuff. So that has
ผม
the
มีเครื่
skin
องสับ
on
ส
it
นเรื่อง
too.
เงินเราเลย
อีก100
That's all I got. That's all I got. I told him yesterday I want a 400 piece.
I told him a 400 baht piece.
Back here.
เดี๋ยวถ่าเขาแจ้งว่าไปอยู่
So I didn't bring that much with me. As I recall, I rode my bike. Carry this back in a big bag on my bicycle. So the deal's done. They took, I think it was 480 baht.
That's huge.
About 10 or 11 bucks.
That's 6. Ooh.
Sorry, that was Matthew that made that comment about the burnout, not Mike. Sorry.
ค่ะ
Oh yeah.
It's heavy.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
thank you
Take care.
Sorry about this. I did stabilize this, but those are Thai-style motorcycles. All right, now we're going to go to the resort. It's a great place, though, to buy fresh vegetables and fruit. Look at this, amazing. That is a window into Thai life in 2005. Some of that hasn't
Doesn't look like
changed.
much, but here's my smoker in Thailand. Got a load of wood in there, got to burn it down for a while. Well, I'd say at least an hour. In the process of cutting another piece, and it is slow going. Using this handsaw, cutting this white Asian oak. It's
That
not
was a
fun.
killer.
Nobody was here to film this, but this is the skin, along with the teats from the back side of the pork roast. You see it's not really a roast, it's pork ribs. It's good size too. This was 6 kilograms when I got it. So, it's just about ready to go on. Fire's almost ready. It's going to be a lot better without that on it, I think. Back side of this should smoke really nice. A little bit of fat on it. Looking good.
You know, even when I'm not live streaming, I'm live streaming.
Here's a cute dog on the resort.
This dog has since passed away. When I went back in 2012, Auntie Lai told me that the dog had passed away. Now, this dog, I don't know the dog's name, but I called him Xiao Hei, which means like saying like Blackie in English. And I could, whenever I came to that village, I could call that dog. I could just go Xiao Hei, and he would be 20 minutes out of sight somewhere, and he would come up running. That dog used to bark at me a lot, but I made friends with him, and he's a really nice dog. And a lot of times I would sleep outside here at the resort next to the fire, and a dog would sleep next to me.
I got the meat at 8:30. It's now, 8 o'clock. Now it's 10:30. I just barely put it on. Took all that time to chop the wood. Thing is, the small pieces burn off right away.
Now, in this case, you see how rusty the smoker is. That's because between the time that I had it built and the time I got the video camera, about a year had passed. And so here we are, and this is what
I
happened.
got this one large piece. I know it violates my rules, but
What I mean by violating the rules is that I put that piece of meat on because I had it sitting out for too long before the final piece was completely burned down.
I got the wood box open. The smoke chamber does show some smoke coming out of the top, so, and it's heating up good. Probably a little bit too hot, but it's a big piece of meat. Let me take my strap off and show you the meat. Here it is. Big hunker. Okay, that's gonna work good. That's actually way too much smoke. But for the first time, I've been able to show that the smoke actually is blue colored. That's good. It's just there's a little bit too much of it. That's a smoldering fire.
That is a 55-gallon drum that's been cut in half.
A piece I took out. Finally, I got the firebox full, and stuff's burned down. It looks okay. Just got a little bit too much smoke, but I'm letting it start out this way because it's a big piece of meat. I want to flavor it, and temperature seems like it's pretty good. We got to get to cooking. It's been sitting out for a long time. Anyway, there it is. There's the smoke.
Chickens in the background.
Drinking Sing beer. Smoker over here going 100 kilometers an hour, producing.
Okay, Ken Rudd has a question. Did you have an ice chest? No. And ice chests generally are not used because that pig, I got it at 8 o'clock in the morning. That pig was probably killed at 6. So, I mean, it was practically still moving. But, you know, keeping it till 10 isn't that long of a time. And most of the produce like that in Asia is absolutely fresh killed. So it's not that unusual.
Copious amounts of that, sorry about the shaky camera, of that barbecue blue smoke.
Can't really see, but maybe you can. It is blue. And that's how you know that you got the balance right. You never put a damper on the stack. A lot of people make that mistake. You balance it by the input only.
Big hunk pork ribs in there. Oh man.
Now, this is from another piece of pork that I cooked, and I complained about it because they don't have any dang bones in it. I went back to the market, and they gave me a big roast, and I wanted something with bones because the bones cook better from the inside, and the meat tends to be not as dry. That's why brisket is such a difficult thing to do right. You know, you do brisket wrong and it's just terrible. It's dry, but there's no bone in it. That's why.
This is the smoked pork. The smoke flavor is great. It's just cooked too long. There's no damn bones. I tried to ask for the ribs of the bones. They don't have bones here. So the in my opinion, it's too dry. But the smoke flavor is great. And I got the duck and the chicken left. They're not quite cooked, so I think they'll be perfect when they come off.
Now, let me just stop here. I did a video on my other personal channel called Chicken Guts, and it's got like 15 or 16,000 views. I didn't even know. I shot it with this iDeer camera, and I did upload it to upload it to YouTube. And I got another one called Duck Guts. I had them butcher a chicken and a duck. I'll tell that whole story later, and I'll show pictures of that. But this is some still photographs that I took, and I want you to see what the smoker looks like and a little bit of the resort, because it doesn't look like that anymore. This resort's completely different. There's an Isan style traditional house and another building that I'm not sure what they use it for, but there's another building on it too. And this whole thing is for sale. This resort is up for sale if somebody wants to buy it. That's the meat there. I took a shot of it, and it looks a lot better with the camera. So you see there's a lake behind full of fish. They're stocked. They feed them every day, and if you want to, you can put a little fishing pole in there and grab one out. Cook it if you want to. And then they always make these huts, and they're on concrete stilts, and they just build a wood frame. And there it is. I love this. I'd love to have one of these in my backyard, and then put the thatch on it. You see there's some wood slats underneath it, and then they just put thatch on it. And that thatch works great. A lot of the resort was thatched. In fact, I went back one year and they were redoing the thatch. But anyway, it was amazing. So I love sitting up there and having something to drink and just checking it out. Just relaxing, and I can check out the smoker when it's running. That's a nice way to relax. I got some other video.
Looking good.
This is another session on the smoker, and that's anti-lie. And that's
Over here at the resort.
part of the resort. This isn't like this anymore. Take care, Ken. Always a pleasure, bro. Thank you. You guys follow Ken Rod and check out his coffee break. He's always got something really cool. So I'm sure very soon from now, Ken, you're going to have another coffee break for us. So take care, man. We'll see you. All right. So this part of the resort ended up becoming the kitchen later on. And yeah, this is all completely different now. So this is kind of historical in this. They built actually a big building there. You're welcome, Ken. Everybody's saying goodbye. We'll go ahead and put that up there. They built a big building there, actually. And Dr. Sue's father kind of moved in for a little while. Used to walk around with a sarong and bare-chested. It was pretty funny. All right.
Yeah, life is good.
Now, Suntory Red is a Suntory whiskey, and I've never seen it in Taiwan. This bottle is cheap. This is one of the cheap versions of whiskey that you can get overseas. It's really amazing because all these brands like Johnny Walker and others, like JB and Grants and stuff, they're all overseas, but the price is like half. It's amazing. And it ties like Pepsi
already.
There's lots of Pepsi.
Over here with some expert fire tending from an elder matron here at the village.
Now this elder matron, I didn't know her at the time, but this is Auntie Lai. We have come to call her
Very
Auntie.
experienced
I actually
person
call her
in that.
Auntie in Chinese.
We have a fire going here in the smoker.
Okay, so Mike asks, what's my favorite wood to smoke meats with? Okay, my favorite wood is white oak for meat and red oak for fish. Red oak is hard to find, but white oak works good. It works really well for fish. Also, I've smoked chicken and duck. I smoke vegetables. It's interesting. Are only meats usually smoked? You can smoke cheese. No, you can smoke things like, you can smoke a bowl of plum juice, believe it or not. It's a bizarre, amazing flavor. You can do cheese too, but you have to be very careful about the melting temperature of the cheese versus, you know, how high. I try to keep the smoker at 100 C. That's what 212 Fahrenheit. I mean, should just be able to like put your hand and just touch it, you know. Apple wood, yep. I've never used apple wood, but some of those woods tend to be a little bit sappy. Not that particular one. You have to be careful with that. It has to be hardwood, but it depends on the bark too. I found with white oak, North American white oak and Asian white oak, I usually don't have to strip the bark off because usually they say the bark makes it bitter. Some woods have bark that makes it bitter, so you have to be careful. I don't like to use too many fruit woods because I don't want to impart too much of that to it. But that certainly is a good wood, and I've heard of people using, of course, they use hickory and mesquite. Those to me, I think they're too strong. But that's, you know, it's all about taste, though. You know, it's about what you know, what do you like?
We're gonna make some smoked food later. Oh yeah, look at that. That's gonna cook down good.
So she's putting some twigs and stuff in there, but she wanted to put a big piece of bark, and I told her no, because
I showed her earlier.
the bark.
Anyway, this is the smoker
Makes
that I
it
had
bitter.
commissioned several months ago. It's been sitting pretty much in disuse, but anyway, that's
Yep, see, bark. Nope, no bark.
This,
Auntie Lai and I are always able
yeah,
to
that's gonna be
communicate
good.
somehow.
got a piece sticking out the side here. Yeah, that's okay. That's okay.
Oh, they left that brace
Well, we
on.
can just take it out.
Guess I forgot that. They did leave the brace on. Okay.
Oh yeah. No,
And right there, you can see the bolt, and you can see the handle, and inside there's the shutter for the intake. And so, yeah, I'd forgotten that they left that brace on because that helps that big piece of metal to not be too deformed from the heat of the wood fire.
it's going good. Yeah, it's going good. It's going real good.
นั่นน่ะเห็นไหม
Oh, not bad. Yeah. Yeah. Look at this. Oh my goodness. Put this in here. Anyway. So. Oh, nice and clean. Yes.
So they cleaned this off because it had been sitting there, and they put fresh vegetable oil on it for me.
Okay, good.
It's all shiny and
Now we can
non-stick,
put the
ready to
screen
go.
เอาใส่ตรง
Inside
นี้
here.
ก่อนอย่าเพิ่งอย่าเพิ่งอย่าเพิ่ง
It's okay.
อย่าเพิ่งไว้ตรงนี้ก่อน
Okay. I showed her how to use the smoker before. She's one of the villagers on my blog entry, and they've seen this operate before, so she doesn't want to put it in until later. And there's some sense in that too, so we're going to oil it down. Anyway, we're going to let the fire burn down for about 2 hours probably, or hour and a half anyway.
I'm sorry, Matthew. I don't know why, but the comments are really small. You're the one that made the comment about the apple wood. Oh man, that sounds like a great day. Yeah, I love that kind of stuff, and multicultural stuff is great. And as long as you understand that people aren't dumb, they just speak a different language. Some people, it's funny, you know, some people will yell at deaf people, or it's, you know, thinking that it's going to help or something, and just I don't know. But yeah, Annie Lai has said stuff to me that like she said one time, the moon is really bright tonight, and I understood it. I can't say that in Thai, but I understood what she meant. It's pretty amazing. But that sounds like a fun way to spend a day, is doing tamales.
And then put the food on.
Okay, so that is the end of that video. And so I don't have a whole lot of time to do these because that took the better part of a day just to gather all the resources. But I've got quite a bit. I have probably 3 or 4 hours of that kind of video that I could put together showing. It's almost, like I said, almost historical. And so it would be interesting to put that, because it's on YouTube now through the live stream. I don't think I would just make a video, and I don't think like that video I just made, I wouldn't upload that to YouTube, but explaining it, I think makes a big difference. But anyway, thank you for joining me. I'm going to get out of here. It's been a pleasure, and great to see the whole gang here. So say hi to everyone that we missed. And we do have the community tab now. So I'm going to be sharing things with you because, like I said, I'm not using the blog anymore. I don't really like to use Facebook that much. I can't do I can do video shorts and stuff and just as shorts, but I'm going to be showing you photographs and doing posts about some stuff upcoming that I want to do. So you guys take care, and we'll see you next time. And thank you so much for joining, because it's always a pleasure to see you guys. And we'll say it's Aichen and Wan An from Taiwan. Have a good evening, and bye-bye. Thank you so much. Take care.